Good morning, everyone. Happy Thursday, a bonus yoga class posted today on Exercise with Charlotte. It is a 1-hour class. It is a new one, so every class that you see under the videos section is new and different. So lots of different opportunities for different yoga practices. I'll try to put in the description kind of the theme of the practice, and today's theme is an earth salutation. We've done sun salutations before and moon salutations, but today is an earth salutation. For your practice today, you don't need any props unless you want some cushion under your knees. So I have a knee pad available to me to tuck under my knees, and that's just for one little sequence of low lunge. So that's an option. You could use a knee pad, a gardening pad, a hand towel, or even double over your yoga mat. Protect your knees. If you're on a carpeted floor, you probably don't even need that. I'm not playing music, so if you want to add some music in your own home of your own choosing, go ahead and do that. Let's start with a hand gesture. Our hand gesture today is the word Adi. And so bring your thumbs across your palms and then close your fingers lightly, don't clench. And create that tiny little baby fist. Relax your shoulders. Bring your elbows towards your body, and this hand gesture represents the word first. So think about doing things for the first time, and hopefully the excitement that that brings when you do something or you're anticipating something for the first time. Wiggle your fingers out, relax your arms down. I'm going to back up so you can see me head to toe, and we'll warm up with our spinal warm-ups. Set your number 11. Tennis ball distance between your feet. Align everything over the heels. Knees, hips, shoulders, even your ears. Draw your shoulder blades into your back pockets. And we're in that beautiful mountain pose, Tadasana. Let's start by putting a couple spinal warm-ups together. We're going to put elongation and cat and cow, putting them together. So inhale, elongate straight up, lift your ribcage up. Exhale, bend your knees, come into standing cat, tuck your chin. Inhale, come into standing cow, pinch the shoulder blades together. Exhale, return to mountain. Second time, elongate, inhale, stretch. Exhale, forward fold or forward flexion. Pinch the shoulder blades together as you inhale, extension, and then return back to mountain. Let's do that one more time. Inhale, elongate. Exhale, round your back, open the shoulder blades, tuck the chin. Inhale, pinch the shoulder blades together, lift the heart, and then relax back to standing mountain. We're going to go into our lateral flexion for the spine, warming up the sides of the body and the spine in a tilting motion. So set your feet just a tiny bit wider so you have a wider foundation and you don't tip over. Let's start with the right hand against the right thigh, left hand to the sky, and start your lateral flexion, going back up to vertical, bending towards the right and back to vertical. Think about the left rib cage lifting up away from the left hip. We're going to add a static lateral flexion today. So on the next one, let's hold the lateral flexion. See if you can go a little deeper as you hold. Look up at the eye of the elbow to challenge your balance. One more breath cycle, and lift it up. Same thing, opposite side. Place your left hand lightly on your left thigh, right hand to the sky. Soften those knees, don't lock them out. And start your lateral flexion. Go at your own pace here. Right rib cage lifting up away from the right hip. Think about the lifting side of the motion and not the collapsing side. Lift. Let's do one more with motion. And the next one we're going to hold. If you can, go a little deeper. If you want to challenge your balance, look at the eye of the elbow. One more breath cycle. And lift it all the way up. Roll the shoulders back. We're going to go into empty coat sleeves. So start small, just swinging one arm in front of the body and one arm behind. Like you put on your coat, but you didn't put your arms into the coat sleeves. And then we start to add a little twist of the upper body. Keep the lower body stationary. Don't lock out the knees. The knees are soft. but it's as if your entire lower body is in cement. See if you can bring those arms up a little higher, doing a little helicopter motion. One more to each side, and then return to center, and just give everything a little shake. We're going to continue with a few more warm-ups here for the spine. This time we're going to step even wider and externally rotate. Point the toes out and the heels in. And we're going to reach straight up as we bend into our squat, warming up the hips and thighs, and also continuing that warm-up of elongation. We're going to change this upwards motion to across the chest. So turn the foot as you go across. So lift the heel and turn into that motion. You want to make sure your knee is moving with the hand so you're not twisting on that knee joint. We're going to change this again. So instead of going straight across, come from underneath and punch up, like an uppercut motion. Again, we're lifting the heel as we twist side to side. We're going to change this one more time. Take those arms straight out and windmill, still lifting up one heel and then the other. Let's do one more each side. And release. Woo! Generated a little heat in the body there. That's good. We want the muscles to be warm when we start to stretch them. We're going to go into kind of a weird pose here. Goddess against a wall. So if your screen is not next to a wall, watch me first and then walk away and do the same thing that I'm going to show you. You want your back against the wall, step wide, heels in, toes out, we're externally rotated, sink down into your squat, and then press your back against the wall and your cactus arms. So your shoulder blades are touching. You have a natural curve in your back body. So there's probably a space that's not touching. That's okay. But make sure your pelvis is touching the wall and your shoulder blades. I just want you to see how this feels, the strength in your legs and hips. One more breath cycle. And release. Walk away from the wall. Come back to your mat. That is to show you how Goddess should feel when we are not against the wall. So you want to remember how upright you felt with the shoulder blades touching the wall and your pelvis touching the wall. So when we do our earth salutation, you want to feel that sensation of an upright spine in your Goddess squat. We are now going to go into our earth salutation. So the earth salutation is all about connecting with the ground. And if you think what's in the ground, roots. And we're talking about our root chakra. So the chakras in our body are in our spine. They go from the low part of the spine all the way up to the crown of the head. And there's 7 of them. They have different colors. But today it's all about the root chakra, the one that's at the base of the spine, and it's red. So we're thinking about energizing the root chakra, energizing the abdominal muscles, the lower body, everything, and the feet are connected to the earth. So it's a lot of squats. Don't worry, at the end we'll give a stretch. So we're going to start with that chair squat. So set your number 11 with a tennis ball distance between your big toes. And don't worry, there's different kinds of squats, but there's only one of each on the front end and one of each on the back end. So it's not a lot of the same squat. The first one is your basic chair squat. Remember, you want to tuck your tail like you're a dog when you're down in the squat, and that protects your low back. So let's start in mountain pose. Align everything up. Inhale, and as you exhale, bend your knees, arms come forward, tuck your tail between your legs, and then rise up and release. Now we're going to go into a balanced chair squat. If that's too challenging, do another regular chair squat with both feet planted on the ground. If you can do a balanced chair squat, that means your heels are lifted. You still have both feet, but lift your heels, find your balance, come into your chair squat, tuck your tail, rise up, and release. Coming into our next one, taking the feet into a V shape. Heels are touching. We're going to go into butterfly squat. Hands to heart center, shoulders back and down. Listen to your body. You may not go as low as I go, so go where you feel balanced and challenged. So start to open the knees, lower the hips, your heels will lift up. Maybe you stop right there, or you can go a little lower. Get your butterfly wings out and rise up and release. All right, we're going to keep this external rotation now, but we're going to step it wider. A little bit wider than the hips. This is garland squat. This is the lowest squat that we can do because our feet are kind of narrow, but not super narrow. So our hips can go down between our feet and our arms can go on the insides of our legs. Listen to your body. If you can't go as low as what I'm going to show, don't do it. Listen to your joints. We're going to start with our hands in prayer again. Shoulders down. Start to sink down into your garland squat. Go as low as you can. I've got my arms to the insides of my knees. I'm very low here, but listen to your body. And then rise up. Release. Going into our next one, even wider. Goddess squat. Remember what we did against the wall? Here's what I want you to think about that upright spine in your goddess squat. Don't lean towards your screen. Keep that upright spine. Bring your arms to cactus arms. Shoulder blades down your back pockets. Sink into your goddess squat. Remember the wall. And rise up. Release the arms for a second. We're going to do another goddess squat with our heels lifted, or you can do a second goddess squat with the heels flat. You pick. Arms to cactus, lift the heels, sink down, goddess squat, rise up, and release. Release the arms. We're going to go into Russian squat, also called Cossack squat. Take your right toes, point them towards your screen. Leave your left foot as it is, and sink down towards your left hip. Your right hip. And then if you can, lift up your left toes. Russian squat. Bring those left toes down, lift up, change the feet. Left toes towards your screen, right toes go out, sink towards your left hip, and then if you can, lift the right toes. Breathe. Toes down, center the hips, rise up. Reset the feet so both toes are pointed out, externally rotated. Now we have a little interlude here where we're not going to do some squats. And then on the back end, we'll do one of each of those squats in the reverse order. We're going to go into a flat back here. If you can't reach the floor, no worries. You can have your hands on your legs. Or if you have a prop, like a block or a chair, you want to put your hands on that prop, you can do that as well. So I'm going to start hands on the thighs, showing the less intense version. Engage the abdominal muscles. If you want, you can draw your legs more narrow if that's better for your flat back. Come into your flat back. And now, if your device is up above you, try not to look at it. Look straight ahead. Align the neck and the spine. Breathe. We're going to try to go a little lower. If this is where you need to stop, then stay here. But if you can, bring your hands down to the floor. And now, wherever you are, look behind you. Bow your head. Breathe. We're going to add a deeper stretch here. I'm going to show hands on the thighs first. If your hands are on your thighs, crawl to the inside and place your hands on the backs of your thighs and add a little resistance. If your hands are on the floor, turn your hands around and crawl your fingertips behind your feet. And now look behind you again. Look under your legs. Relax the neck. One more breath cycle. Everyone return the hands back to the original position, either forward on the mat or on your thighs. And we're going to go into a shoulder stretch here. If you can, place both hands on your low back. If you need to bend your knees here, you can. Hold your own hand and lift your hands away from your body. Look behind you, under your legs. One breath cycle. Hands back to your body. Everyone bend your knees if they're not already bent. Hands on your thighs. A little arch to the back. And then rise up. That's your interlude. Now we're going to go back into those squats in the reverse order. So starting with the Russian squat, turn your left toes towards your screen, leave the right toes pointed out, and sink over towards your left hip and the left leg. Lift the right toes if you can. Breathe. Toes down, center up, rise up, switch the feet. Right toes towards your screen, left toes out. Sink towards your right knee, and then lift your left toes. Breathe. Toes down, center the hips, reset the feet. Both sets of toes are externally rotated, and rise up. We're going to go into that goddess squat on the balls of the feet, so the heels lifted. Or you can leave your heels flat, option. Come into cactus arms, lift the heels, slide down the wall, rise up, release the heels. We'll do a second one with the heels flat. Slide down the wall, rise up, release the arms, and walk your feet in, not all the way, just a little bit wider than your hips. This is your garland squat or malasana squat. This is our very low squat. Listen to your body. Hands to heart center, shoulders relax down. Bend your knees. Start to sink into your squat. If you want, press the arms on the inner part of your thighs or knees. Low squat, really working those muscles. One breath cycle here. And rise up, release. Bring those feet together, heels touching, going into butterfly squat. Remember, go to where you feel challenged, but not that you're going to tip over. Hands to heart center, shoulders back and down. Start to lower your hips, your knees will open up, your heels will lift up. Once you get to the point where you need to stop, go ahead and stop. Grow your butterfly wings to lift up and release. Now we're going to turn those toes back to face the screen. Make that number 11 with your feet. Our last two squats coming up here. Chair squat with balance and regular chair squat. Remember, you can do both of those with your heels flat if you need to. Bring your arms forward. Remember to tuck your tail when you're down in your squat. If you can, lift the heels to balance your chair. Sink down, tuck your tail, rise up, and release. Last one. Heels are flat, arms are forward, shoulders down. Bend the knees, bend the hips, tuck your tail at the bottom, rise up, and release. Good work, my friends. That's a lot of squats. So, bonus, before we do anything else, we're going to stretch our thighs. We're going to stretch the hamstrings and the quads. Let's start with the hamstrings. Send your right heel forward, the leg is straight. Place your hands on your left hip or the left thigh and sink your hips back and down. Your right foot is flexed, the toes are up. We'll add a little baby stretch for the calf here. Turn those right toes to the right. Take one breath. Bring them back. Rise up and step the feet together. Same thing on the other side for the opposite hamstring. Send your left heel forward. The leg is straight. The toes are lifted. Hands on your right hip or the right thigh. Sink your hips back and down. Stretching the back of the left thigh. Adding the calf. Take your left toes. Turn them towards the left. One breath cycle. Lift up. Bend the knee. Rise up. We're going to add a quadricep stretch. I'm going to show the version where we keep the foot on the ground, but if you would rather do the version where you grab the foot and lift it up, you can. But I'm going to show the version where you don't have to pick the foot up off the ground. Take your right foot back behind you, not very far, and keep the heel lifted. I'm going to show this from the side, actually, so you can see it from the side. You don't have to turn sideways. So I'm taking that right foot back behind me. The heel is lifted, the knee is bent. I'm going to sink down with the hips. You can have your hands behind your hips or on your hips, and then throw the hips forward, and we're stretching through the front of that right thigh. It's a little bit of balance, but not quite as much as lifting the foot up. Release, We'll do the same thing on the other side. I'll show it from the side as well. Take your left foot back. The ball of the foot is connected to the mat. The heel is lifted, the knee is slightly bent. Sink straight down. Both knees are now bent. Hands on the hips or behind. And now throw the hips forward and the shoulders back. Balance and breathe. And lift up and walk it out. Good work, my friends. We are now going to go into the balance section. I know we did some balance while we were doing our earth salutation, right? But we didn't stand on one leg. So we're going to do a little bit of balance here, standing on one leg. If you need the support of a wall, you can have one hand touching the wall. Our balance sequence, it's pretty simple. We're going to one-legged mountain, so the knee will lift. We're going to keep that leg up in the air and then hug it into our chest. And then we're going to keep that leg up in the air and open the bent knee to the side. All the same leg. If you need to touch down in between those three positions, by all means, go ahead and touch down, or you can do the whole thing here with the hand on the wall. Knee up, knee hug, knee open. Those are the three places we're going with the knee. If you can, try it away from the wall. Or use the wall as a safety net. Be close enough that if you need to touch, you can. All right, let's lift the left leg first, since that's what I was showing them. Energize the soles of the feet. Create your mountain pose, tall spine. Imagine you're growing roots through your right foot. Let your left heel become light. Look at something that doesn't move, and lift that knee up. Ignore any dogs you hear. That's just my house. And now, if you can, try not to touch down. And reach down and grab the knee and hug it in. One more breath cycle here. If you can, try not to touch down and use that left hand on the left knee and open it off to the left. You can have your opposite arm out for balance. One breath cycle and release. Ooh, a little challenge there to try to keep the foot up the entire time, working on core stability and core strength. Let's do the other side. If you need to turn around so that you can face a wall or have your hand against that wall, you can, or you can move to a different wall. Energize the soles of the feet. Grow roots through your left foot. Let your right heel become light and float it up off the earth. Breathe. Grow roots. Engage the abdominal muscles. If you need to touch down, you can, or just reach down and grab the knee, hug it in, look at something that does not move, breathe, and now take the right hand on the right bent knee, open it to the right. If you need balance, you can take the left hand out to the left. One breath cycle, and release. Good work, my friends. Prance it out. We are going to go down onto the mat now, so if you want to move your device down to the floor or to a stack of books on the floor, you can. I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to join you on the mat in table, hands and knees. And here's where you can use a knee pad. If you have carpeting, again, you may not need this, but you can also fold over your yoga mat to give an extra layer, or use a hand towel. I'm going to use a knee pad. Could be a gardening pad, or it could be one of these yoga pads that you can get at Marshall's. It has some cool poses on the opposite side. All right, make stars with your hands, spreading those fingers wide. Place the hands on the mat, coming into table pose, quadruped. Make sure your wrists are under your shoulders and your knees are under your hips. Let's add a little hip sway here. Send your hips right and left. And think about right underneath your navel, there's a stack of books. And you have to lift your navel up over those books as you go from side to side, engaging abdominal muscles. Do a few more at your own pace. And then come back to center. Set your neutral spine table, and we're going to go into our low lunge series. So step your right foot forward. Keep it over towards the right edge of the mat. Don't bring it to the center. If you bring it to the center here, you're not going to feel stable when you come up to your lunge. So keep that left foot over to the left edge and keep your right foot to the right edge and your left knee to the left edge. Sink up and down here. Just energize the stretch in that left hip flexor. And then pause the motion and bring both hands up to the right thigh. Lift the chest. Coming into your low lunge. Relax the shoulders. Lift the rib cage. We're going to go into a sequence here where we twist our lunge. We're going to rotate and revolve. So we're going to rotate to one side and then revolve to the other side. So it doesn't matter which direction you're facing because at some point you're going to face away from your screen. Let's start by keeping that right hand on the right thigh. Lift your left arm up to the sky. Breathe. Exhale. Turn towards your device and open the arm behind you. Lift back up to center. Exhale. Turn away from your left device and bring that left arm in front of you. Come back to center. We'll do that one more time with one arm. Inhale. Exhale. Open the arm behind you. Lift up. Inhaling. Exhale. And revolve the arm in front of you. Come back. Arm up. We're going to do two more. You can continue with the same pattern with your right hand on the thigh, or you can add that second arm up in the sky, and now your arms will make a T when you turn to the sides. So start with your inhale. Exhale. Turn towards your device. Make a T if you're using both arms. Inhale, lift up both arms. Exhale, turn away from your device. Make a T. Inhale, lift up both arms. Last time to each side. Exhale, make a T. Inhale, center. Exhale, make a T. Inhale, center. Release the hands down to the mat. Tuck that right knee back underneath you and sink back for a quick child's pose. Or resting pose here. And then come back to your table pose. Set up your alignment. Wrists and shoulders, knees and hips, and then bring your left knee forward. Hands to the edges of the mat, making little teepees, and then sink your right hip up and down, just an inch, maybe a half an inch. Just take a little stretch through that hip flexor before we lift up, and that'll be a deeper stretch on the hip flexor. Pause and bring both hands up to that left thigh. Lift the chest. Same thing, we'll do two patterns with one arm resting on your left thigh, and then we'll do two patterns with both arms up in the air, or you can continue with the original pattern. You pick. Let's start with the right arm lifting up to the sky. Relax that left shoulder down. Inhale, center. Exhale, open the arm behind you. Look away from your screen. Inhale, lift up. And now exhale, float the arm forward and look at your screen. Inhale, reach up. Second time like that. Exhale, arm goes behind, look away. Inhale, center, arm up. Exhale, turn towards your screen, arm forward, and arm comes up as you inhale. Now we'll add the second arm if you want, or you can keep the hand on the thigh. You pick. Shoulders relaxed away from your ears. Engage your abdominal muscles. Inhale, center. Exhale, turn away from your screen. Make a T. Inhale, center. Exhale, turn towards your screen. Make a T. Inhale, center. One more time each side. Exhale, turn away. Make a T. Inhale, center. Exhale, turn towards your screen. Make that T. Inhale, center. Bring the hands down, tuck that knee back behind you, and take a quick child's pose here. Breathe, bow your head, close your eyes. That was our lunge sequence, so no worry, nothing else is going to be on your knees. So come up to a seated position. You can get rid of that knee pad if you are using it, and extend your legs forward. Coming into staff pose, Dandasana. Move the fleshy part of your bottoms away from your sits bones, and we're going to come into a V shape or an open angle pose. Your V shape might be shallow, or if it's accessible to you, you can draw those legs open a little wider, move the fleshy part of your bottoms away from your sits bones. If you're wondering where your sits bones are, think about the little bony part of your bottom that's touching the mat. Those are your sits bones, S-I-T-Z, sits bones. Bring your hands forward of your body. We're going to go into an open angle fold. Let's start very small. Just crawl your hands forward an inch or two and energize the upper body towards your device. Draw your elbows down, which pulls your shoulders away from your ears. Let's just start here and hold this for a moment. Feel your hips heavy on the mat. Let's take the backs of the knees and press them downwards into the mat 3 times. That'll energize the stretch on the backs of the legs. So push down the backs of the knees and then relax. Second time, push down the backs of the knees and relax. One more time, push down and relax. Lift up. And we're going to add another motion here, this time down to the feet. We're going to flex the feet 3 times, energizing again the muscles on the backs of the legs. Hands are just resting in front of you for support. Flex the feet and relax. Flex and relax. One more time. Flex and relax. Coming back into our fold. Draw those hands forward, elbows down, shoulders relaxed. As you've been sitting here, those muscles are trying to get used to that position of an open angle fold. Maybe they've relaxed a little bit. Maybe you can crawl forward just another 2 or 3 inches. Draw the elbows down, pull those shoulders away from the ears. Breathe. Feel that deeper stretch through the inner thigh, groin, hips, and low back. We're going to add rotation here. So walk both hands over to the right leg. You can place the hands on the shin. Once again, draw the elbows down and reach your entire upper body towards those toes. And remember the sits bones, the pointy or the bony part that was touching the mat? Did your left hand lift up? Push it back down. If it did, push it into the mat. Make sure that sits bone is connected to the mat. Keep looking at your right toes. If you want to go a little deeper here, take your hands to straddle the leg. Draw the elbows further away from your body down towards the earth. If you want to take it one step further, take your left hand and put it on top of your right hand. You'll feel that deepen the stretch across the low back area on the left side of your body. Take one more breath cycle here. And we're going to crawl back to midline. Let's take this over to the opposite leg. Bring both hands to start onto the shin. Relax those elbows down, pulling the shoulders down, upper body reaching towards that left foot. Right sits bone, press it down in case it lifted up. Keep looking towards your left foot. You can stay here, hands on the shin, or progress. Hands straddle the leg. And if you want that third progression, right hand goes on top of the left. Keep that right sits bone pressing into the mat. One more breath cycle. And crawl back towards midline. Walk your hands back towards your body and lift all the way up. Swing those legs together, bending the knees as you do so, releasing the backs of the knees, and give them a little shake. We're going to go into a spinal twist here, a little stretch for the spinal area, the connection between the spine and the pelvic area. Bend both knees and tuck them towards your right hip. Mermaid sit. Now, if this bothers your knees, I'll offer 2 options. You can keep the top leg straight. And now my left foot is tucked underneath my right thigh, but the right leg is straight, and I can still do my twist. Now, if even this is uncomfortable, then you can leave both legs straight, and you can still do your twist. Okay, so just different variations of a spinal twist. I'm going to go ahead and back to the original position where both knees were bent, and my left foot is underneath my right thigh. And now take your right hand and twist around so you can place the right hand on the outside of your left thigh. Look towards the left, relax the shoulders. Your right hand is resting on the mat behind you, or you can take the back of your right hand and place it at your low back. If you want to try to deepen the twist, see if you can slide these right fingertips forward into the hip crease of your right leg. That's a deeper twist. If that's too much, then keep it back here at the low back or even on the mat. So lots of options there for the placement of your right hand. One more breath cycle. Spiral the body back to face front. Swing those legs forward if they're not already forward. And set up for the second side. Bharat Vajal's twist. I'm going to do it again with tucking both knees and bending the knees. Feet are next to my left hip. My right foot is underneath my left thigh. Remember, you can keep this top leg extended if that gives you a better foundation, or you can even keep both legs straight if that's better for your body, your needs. Take your left hand, start to swing it around in front of you, and place it on your right thigh. Let that right hand just rest on the mat behind you as you look off towards the right. Tall spine, ribcage lifted. Option for that deeper twist, you can take the back of the right hand to your low back, just resting it at your low back, or maybe watch my fingers slide forward into the hip crease area. You pick. That's too much, then keep it at the low back. Shoulders relaxed, ribcage lifted. One more breath cycle. Spiral the body back to face front and send those legs forward. We're going to do a hip stretch here, and then we're going to switch it into some lying on our back poses. So actually, let's do a couple hip stretches here. Let's start with some windshield wipers. So bend both knees, energize the sits bones. Remember those sits bones, connect them to the mat, hands behind you, recline slightly, and then just start to rock onto the inside and outside edges of the feet. The knees will move to the sides together, both to the right, both to the left. Feel that little stretch as you get towards the bottom of the motion, and it doesn't have to go to the floor. You're going to feel the stretch on the outer thigh. Pause the motion, walk your feet together, and cross your right leg over the left. We're going to go into half windshield wipers. We're going to use that right leg, which is grabbing the left leg, so to speak, and we're going to use that right leg to pull it towards the right and then come back to center. So we're only going halfway to one side and then back to center. You're rolling on the inside edge of the left foot as you do this. Now we've got a little deeper stretch going on that outer thigh of the left leg. And we've got the right leg wrapped around it, giving it a little extra pull. Let's do one more on this side. And release. And we switch. Left thigh over the right. Same thing. This time we're going the opposite direction. Use your left leg to pull towards the left and come back to center, rocking on the inside edge of the right foot. Feel that stretch on the outer right thigh and into that right hip. Let's do one more. And uncross your thighs, send the legs out. We're going to finish with one more hip stretch here. We'll do head to knee pose. So draw your right knee in, let it flop down towards the mat, and bring the foot to the inside of the left leg. Bring your hands below the left knee, draw the elbows down, maybe crawl a little closer to the ankle if you can, elbows down again, and reach your upper body towards your left toes. Targeting a deeper stretch on that right outer thigh, right hip, and right low back. We're going to take 3 awareness breaths here, going a little deeper each time we inhale, but then exhale coming back to your safe spot here, so you don't have to stay there. Inhale, go deeper, exhale, release. Inhale, go deeper, exhale, release. One more time. Inhale, go deeper, release. Crawl your hands back towards your body, lift up, Send that right foot to the bottom or towards your screen, and we'll do the other side. Draw that left foot in, lower the knee, let it flop towards the earth. Mine doesn't touch, yours may, that's okay. I mean, I could make it touch, but it wants to pop back up. So let it go to its natural state. Look towards your right toes, hands below the right knee. Elbows draw down as you let that entire upper body sink towards those right toes. If you can, once you're here, you take a breath cycle or two, crawl maybe just a half an inch closer to the ankle. Elbows draw down again. Make sure those elbows are down so the shoulders are away from the ears. We're going to take those 3 awareness breaths again. So go just a tiny bit deeper to challenge your stretch and then come back to your safe spot. Inhale, deepen. Exhale, relax. Inhale, deepen. Exhale, relax. One more time. Inhale, deepen. And exhale, relax. Lift all the way up, sitting tall. Send that leg back out so both legs are forward. Give it a little shake. And we're going to lie down. So swing your feet to the skinny end of your mat. And we'll lie down for more stretches. Curl your body down to the mat. Find that connection between your back body and the mat. Adjust your shoulder girdle, your pelvic girdle, and then hug your knees in towards your body. Maybe add a little sway. We're going to go into a couple strength poses before we finish up with all stretches. So plant your feet down on the mat. Let your arms rest on the mat. And your hands are close to your hips, palms facing down. We're going to come into candlestick pose, and then we're going to lower the legs. So option there, you can do this with bent knees. Here it is with straight knees, candlestick legs, and we're going to push the legs away and then come back up. Or if you need to bend the knees slightly, you can still push the thighs away and come back up. Maintain the angle, so when you push the thighs away, don't also draw your feet in towards your bottoms. Maintain the angle that you set up. So I'm going to go with straight legs, but remember, you can have bent legs if you like. Press your upper arms into the mat and push your legs away, and then come back to the vertical position of your thighs. Push away and come back. Push away. Come back. Feel the energy in your abdominal muscles to do this. If it's okay for your low back, you could go a tiny bit lower. You pick. You could do this with bent knees and come a little bit lower. Listen to your body. Let's do one more. And then hug the knees. We're going to change the arms and do the same thing and just see how it feels a little different with our arms activated. So we were trying to activate the arms by pressing the upper arms into the mat, but sometimes we lose that activation. If we take our hands and grab the upper corners of our mat, so the backs of your hands are on the floor and your fingers are wrapped onto the top of the mat. So I don't know if you can see that. I'm trying to show you from I picked up the mat so you can see that my fingers are on the top of the mat and the backs of the hands are on the floor. My thumbs are pointed towards the center, towards my head. And now pull on the mat as if you're trying to rip it down the middle. You won't. Your mat is strong enough that you can't really rip it down the middle, so don't worry. Just really activate those arms by pulling on the mat and send your legs back up to either your candlestick pose with straight legs or candlestick with bent legs. You pick. Keep pulling like you're trying to rip that mat. And once again, lower the legs and lift. Use those abdominal muscles, but now you're also adding energy from the upper body. Does this feel a little bit easier? I think it does. But really listen to your body. You're just trying to add active muscles in the upper body to help our lower body do a strength move. Let's do one more. And hug the knees. Relax the arms and hug the knees. Add a little sway if you like. We're going to do one more strength move here. And that is leg circles, glued together. Legs are going to be glued together. So once again, we start with the arms on the mat. backs of the arms, pressing downwards into the mat. Lift up for candlestick. Remember, you can do this with a bent knee candlestick. Don't think about your knees making the circle though. Think about the thighs making an ice cream cone shape. Don't bend the knees at all. So if your knees are bent, keep them at that bend. Don't start to do this with your knees and swing those legs around. So once you set your bent knees, keep that bend and think about your thighs making an ice cream cone shape. The pointy end of the cone is down at your bottom. Or you can do the same thing with straight legs, and your thighs are going to make that ice cream cone shape. Go ahead and start your circles, bent legs or straight. The insides of your knees are glued together, and the edges of your big toes are glued together. Pause and go the other way. Feel the energy in your abdominal muscles to work these hip circles. One more circle, and hug the knees. Guess what? We're going to do the same thing. We're going to grab that mat with our hands up above our head, try to rip it down the middle, and see how that changes. When we activate the upper body muscles, see if that makes it feel any different doing the same pose. So go ahead and, once again, place your hands, backs of the hands on the floor, wrapping the fingers to the top of the mat. Your thumbs are pointing towards your head. Elbows are on the floor. Lift up into either straight knee candlestick or bent knee candlestick, either one. And now start to make those hip circles. Pull your mat. You're trying to rip it down the center, so keep that active upper body as you make those hip circles, pulling the mat from corner to corner. Rip it down the center. Pause, go the other way. Your active upper body is going to help you stabilize your lower body here. One more hip circle. Pause and release your mat as you hug the knees into your body at a gentle sway. Plant your feet flat on the mat. And we'll do a little stretch here. Let's do a little stretch for the shoulders since we were activating the upper body. Normally we don't do shoulder stretches lying down, but we can. Take your right arm, lay it across your body. Take your left hand to the outside of the upper arm and pull that arm closer to your body. We're stretching the back of the shoulder on the right side. One more breath cycle. And we switch. Lay your left arm across your body. Take your right hand to the outer arm. Pull it closer to your body. Stretching that shoulder on the left side. One more breath cycle. And release. We're going to do one more strength pose and then all stretches after that. We're going to do leg extensions. So bring your feet off the mat. Knees are going to stay bent this time. We're not going to the candlestick. And you're making the L shape or the 90-degree angle with your legs. We're going to go into single leg extensions and then double leg extensions. Draw your right knee towards you and your left foot pushes away. And then switch. Alternating legs here. You can keep your hands touching the mat, or whichever knee is close, you can reach up and give it a little tug, adding a little stretch. If you want to add a progression, pick your head up off the mat, look straight up at the ceiling, keep space underneath your chin, like there's an apple under your chin. Do one more each leg, and then hug the knees. Pause here, and we'll finish our leg extensions with double leg extension. Starting the same, making the letter L with both legs. Go ahead and keep your arms on the mat to start with. The higher your feet, the less intense it will be. So when you straighten your legs out, if you send your feet high, that'll be less intense. And then come back to the bent knee. If you go lower, that's more intense. So you pick double leg extension, look up at the ceiling. Start your double leg extensions at your own pace. I'm showing high feet right now. I'm going to show a little bit lower. You pick. If you want to add the arms, when your knees are close, reach up and touch the knees. When your knees go away, arms go over your head. Double leg extensions. And once again, if you want to add a progression here, lift your head up off the mat, look straight up at the ceiling and keep that space under your chin, apple under your chin. Let's do one more. And release, tugging those knees into your chest and then going into full body stretch. Send your feet down to the bottom of your mat and send your arms up over your head. Inhale, exhale, yawn. Oh. One more, inhale, exhale, yawn. Oh. And now let's go into some stretches. All stretches from here on out. Bend both knees, feet are flat, adjust your low back. And open the knees out to the side, bringing the soles of the feet together for supine bound angle. Your hands could rest on your belly. They could be up above in cactus arms, or you could even rest your hands on the inner thighs. You pick. Breathe. One more breath cycle. Bring your hands to the outsides of your thighs and close your knees. Going into our thigh stretches with bent knees, go ahead and straighten your right leg and then draw your left knee into your chest. Pull it in as tightly as you can, and we're stretching the right hip flexor. Shoulders relax down. Keeping the knee bent, make that letter L. And just take your hand behind and pull that leg towards you. And then if you can, straighten it out. If you straighten it out, you'll get a deeper stretch. But if that's too much, you can keep the knee partially bent. The stretch will go away a little bit. So more stretch, straight leg. One more breath cycle. Bend the knee and take your left hand on the left bent knee and open it to the left. Inner thigh groin stretch. If you need stability, you can take that right arm out to the right. Or cactus arm. You pick. One more breath cycle. And now push that knee to center. Take that right hand onto the bent left knee and draw it across your body. And then your left arm could come out to a T or a cactus arm, stretching the outer thigh and hip. Before we come back to center, we're going to do a quadricep stretch here. So stay here with that left knee pulled over towards the right and draw your right knee underneath it. So the knees are stacked. And now we're going to stretch the top of the left thigh by reaching down, grabbing that left foot with your left hand, pull it in towards your bottom, and then push the foot into your hand. One breath cycle here. And release. Bring both knees back to center. Adjust your bottom and your low back onto the mat. And we'll do the same sequence on the other side. Straighten out your left leg and draw your right knee into your chest. Pull it in as tightly as you can to stretch the left hip flexor. Relax your shoulders. One more breath cycle. And now release the knee, keep it bent. Start with a 90-degree bend. Take your hands behind the thigh and pull that leg towards you. We're starting a hamstring stretch here. And now start to straighten the leg. We'll start to feel the stretch deepen. If you can get the leg all the way straight, you're going to get the maximum stretch. Relax the shoulders. One more breath cycle. And bend the knee again. Going to go into your inner thigh stretch. So take that right hand on the right bent knee and open that knee towards the right. Your left arm could be a cactus arm or a T. One more breath cycle. Push it back to center. Take your left hand on that right bent knee and draw it across your body. Right arm, you tap the sign on a T. Breathe. And add the quadricep stretch. I'm going to be turning away from you for this pose. Depends on how your mat is oriented. You may also be turning away from your device. Keeping that right knee over towards the left. Hug your left knee underneath it so the knees are stacked. And then reach down with your right hand, grab that right foot, go ahead and turn away from your device and pull that heel towards your bottom and then push the foot into the hand. One more breath cycle. Release the foot, bring both bent knees back to center, readjust again and hug those knees. Add a little sway. We're going to finish with happy baby and then relaxation. So keep your knees bent, separate the knees and feet wide, flex both feet, and let the soles of the feet look up at the ceiling. Hands to the shins, ankles, grab the big toe, or wrap your hands to the soles of your feet. Draw those bent knees closer to your armpits. Look up at the ceiling, and then if you want, add a sway, but you don't have to. You can remain static. Breathe. Relax the shoulders. Relax the hips. Let them sink towards the mat. Deepen your stretch just by setting your mind to the parts of the body that are benefiting from this pose. Happy baby, Ananda Balasana. One more breath cycle. Release your hands to the mat one at a time. Bring your feet down to the mat. And we'll spend just a few breath cycles in relaxation. If you'd like, you can keep your knees bent and let them rest against each other. Or you can straighten the legs out and the arms out for corpse pose, Shavasana. You can lie on your side for a fetal position. Whatever's comfortable to you. Go ahead and relax. Close your eyes. I'm sitting up just to project my voice. And we'll just take a few moments in relaxation. Recall that very first hand gesture that we did, where we wrapped our thumbs with our fingers, and that was called Adi, and it represented the word first, like the way a baby firsts hold its little fists. And think of something that maybe you've done recently for the first time. Maybe you tried a new recipe for the first time. Or maybe you tried a new pose today in our yoga practice and you didn't even expect it, but we did. Maybe there was something new. And think about the way you feel when you try something new, and especially if it went well. If it didn't go well, don't feel bad. Just know that it was the first. And there's always the possibility of growing and developing and getting better. That's the beauty of the first of anything. You can do it again and enjoy it again. Take one more breath cycle. And let's come back to a seated pose. You can either do a sit-up or you can push into the earth and come to a seated pose. Joining me in either cross-legged, straight legs, or you could come back into mermaid sit if you like that pose. My quote today also uses the word first. It's from Martin Luther King Jr. and he wrote, "Faith is taking the first step even when you cannot see the entire staircase." So take those first steps, my friends. They might lead you to an adventure. Bring your hands outside your hips, inhale to the sky, let your thumbs touch. Your mind, your spirit, breath in your body. The spirit in me honors the spirit in all of you. Namaste. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for participating in our Earth salutation, honoring Mother Earth today, and keep breathing.